So can someone explain the Terry Crews thing to me? Because I haven't seen what he said or whatever.
I'll just read the tweet because that's probably the easiest way to explain. At Terry Crews tweeted, "If you are a child of God, you are my brother and sister. I have family of every race, creed, and ideology. We must ensure that hashtag Black Lives Matter doesn't morph into hashtag Black Lives Better."
And then obviously people got really mad and assumed that he was undercutting the Black Lives Matter ethos, which for all intensive purposes he could have been doing. I don't know what his politics are personally, but to me there are two possibilities in terms of what he could mean. Like, he could mean it in a way that's trying to sort of obfuscate the sentiment of what's happening in terms of like, oh, like, you know, these people are just sort of, you know, trying to assert themselves in a way that is dominance rather than a plea for equality. Or he could be criticizing like the washing feet shit, like the liberals washing black people's feet shit. He may not have necessarily been addressing black people. He could have been addressing white liberals and being like, oh, black people aren't better than you inherently. You don't need to sort of treat black people like these racialized holy subjects. But the thing is, the tweet is vague, and he in himself, he's not a political person. I mean, the most political he got was the Me Too stuff in that regard, but it was mostly just him discussing his personal experience with abuse in Hollywood. I don't think it was necessarily political, capital P, in that regard. But yeah, I mean, I still think it was ridiculous for people to get as mad as they did, because it's unclear who exactly he's addressing.
I feel like if you really care about what Terry Crews thinks about Black Lives Matter, then you're a bit of a lost cause already, right? Because you shouldn't really be looking at actors and stuff. And I hear this, I listen to a lot of podcasts from fucking comedians, from all sorts of people in various industries, and they all start the subject with, "I'm not political, but this is what I think about this highly political subject." It's just like, well, you feel the need to say something because everybody has the expectation to hear from you, but at the same time, you don't want to offend anybody. At the same time, you want to be true to what you believe in at the same time as all these things. So it becomes this, like, there's so many things that you're trying to tick in this tick box within 140 characters that it can't ever really be a genuine expression of anything. It's nonsense. So if you like start to take what people say on Twitter to the point you're getting upset or you're cancelling them, then you've already lost the mental battle, like, in my opinion.
Well, I would say a lot of the problem with this tweet is the idea that he's not just, it's not even necessarily that he's questioning Black Lives Matter, but he isn't just sort of immediately, and I'm not necessarily talking about whether it's something worthy of getting angry about, but I think the reason people are angry about it is that in their minds, this is kind of an all lives matter statement. And I don't know that
it's impossible to know. It's impossible to know whether it is or isn't, because
exactly.
Because like he's not somebody who we know what his politics are for sure, or what he was.
No, and he
at.
could have clarified it, and he hasn't. Like, in his mind, he probably just whatever he thought, he probably tweeted it and then went on with his day.
And it's one of those things where if someone's going to make a statement like that and you're going to get upset about it, at least try and look at the rest of the context of what they've said about the subject, if that's the case, because if it's really that important to them, they would have definitely mentioned it in the past. There's certainly been lots of examples where people have needed to have shown this sort of support or felt the need to show this sort of support publicly in the past. So see what he said in the past. I know that it's kind of hard to judge because he does play a cop on a pretty popular show and all of those kinds of things. It's hard to really know. But
I don't particularly care because he's an actor. Oh, yeah, that's the... But it's like this pressure that's put on public black figures to basically perform. Like, I know that you guys probably don't know who Dizzy Rascal. Actually, Ashley, you probably know who Dizzy Rascal is.
I know who Dizzy Rascal is.
Well, he's like a British rapper. He's a British rapper from like the early 2000s. Yeah, you know, Americans always use Dizzy Rascal.
Some people think he's crazy.
Stop.
I'm not an American.
you.
Don't you dare.
Well, sorry, I'm sorry. But I'm just saying Americans in general always use Dizzy Rascal to like clown British grime and like hip hop and stuff. They're like, oh, look at you guys with your fucking Dizzy Rascal. It's like he had some, yeah, like fucking just leave it out. Just leave it out, mate. Leave it out. But yeah, like
I loved his Olympics performance.
yeah, leave it out, leave it out. But yeah, he went on Piers Morgan recently, and Piers Morgan was like, "You're a black. Tell us what you think about this Black Lives Matter stuff that's going on." And he was like,
And those were the exact words he used because it's Piers Morgan.
Yeah, basically. But his whole rationale was, you are a prominent black man and this is a black issue, so therefore you should have a take on it. And Dizzy was like, no, I'm here to fucking promote my album, mate. Like, can I do that? Like, why is it important for me to speak on shit? Like, he was like, if you want to talk about this shit, talk to Akala. Akala's like a black academic and rapper who talks about race all the time. And he was like, if you want to talk about this shit, then that's somebody who's more qualified to have this conversation with you. I'm just trying to put out my record and have some fun. And it's like, why do we expect every single black person who's prominent or in a position of power or in a position of entertainment power to have an opinion about these really heavy political subjects? And even then
it's because they've kind of been turned into brands a little bit, and they feel compelled, I guess the same way that the people running the brands do, to put out a statement so that their brand and their fans know that they are pro Black Lives Matter or whatever, or like they feel
Terry
like
Crews was like, fuck that, I'm gonna make this big as shit.
Yeah.
I want
weird.
to confuse people. That's what I want.
I think he wanted to appeal to as many people as possible.
Yeah, exactly. It was I think you're totally right on that, actually.
Pleaser.
Yeah, he was doing this sort of open-ended thing basically as his stance. And I think mainly because he doesn't want to be racialized. That's like his thing is that, and I can understand why he would have a lot of qualms about being racialized, because he's like this, 6 foot+ tall built black man, and he has like a really kind of wholesome personality though, and being racialized as that kind of person can be dangerous, and as an actor it can also limit the roles that you're put in and all of those things. So in that regard, I think he was trying to escape being racialized, because in these specific moments people sort of expect you to racialize yourself by basically stating your stance on these really complicated issues, even if you're not qualified to do so. Like, the last person who I am interested in hearing what they have to say about any of this stuff is Terry Crews at the end of the day. So I don't know why people are acting fresh and like brand new because he said something that they may not agree with. Like, it's whatever.